Hello, everyone. I know I'm a couple minutes early, but I figured I'd sneak on and get started on this beautiful Sunday. So let's check in, see where everybody's at. I know it might take a couple of seconds for everyone to realize that I'm in here, but I'm Amanda, and this is just a little live session that I do so we can check in with our mental health, check in, see where we're doing, talk about wins, talk about challenges, ask questions, support each other. Hello, Brian. How are you? Spooky, hello. So today I've been feeling really productive, really energetic. I had a pretty good night's sleep. So I've been in one of those purge, clean, organized phases. So I'm feeling really good about that. It always boosts my mental health. I say that it's pretty important, because your outside world will be a reflection of your inside world. So if everything is scattered and disorganized, then that can make your brain scattered and disorganized. That's how it reflects for me. And I found that to be true for a lot of other people. So if I'm needing a quick dopamine hit, if I'm needing that quick boost, then just cleaning something up, tidying something up, donating something always makes me feel really good. It's kind of one of my go-tos. Hi, Eva. Hello, Aaron, David. Valerie, Lace Madsen. Hello, peoples. I love it. So it can get kind of crazy in here. If you want to make sure that I see a message, please make sure to use the super chat or super sticker function, and it will highlight the message, and all of the proceeds from that go toward my mental health outreach so I can continue helping people here in the community through a variety of ways. It's crazy that it's not even time yet. That's how I know all of you guys are subscribed and loved me. So mwah, extra kisses for you. Hello, big house. Yes, Saved by the Bell. Spunky David noticed too. I do. I'm a 90s girl, and I'm really resonating with the 90s vibes this week. As my Cubs know over my Patreon, I had got to go to a throwback concert a few nights ago, and it was Chris from NSYNC, BB Mac, which that band was something me and my mom resonated with. I got to go to a BB Mac concert when I was 16 with my mom, and we really bonded over that. It was really special. And her last voicemail to me was actually saying that she just heard their one song on the radio and she was thinking of me. So they really hold a special place in my heart. And I posted a video over on Patreon where everybody got to see my reaction to Chris NSYNC touching my hand. I fangirled pretty hard. But so I figured I'd just keep the 90s vibes going with the Saved by the Bell. I love Saved by the Bell. John says, thank you for helping. Well, thank you for being here. I'm glad that I can help. Hi, Amy. Stucky says, I'm a 90s baby too. I haven't thought of Saved by the Bell in years, though. Nostalgia. Oh my gosh, you need to go back and binge it. I think it was on something. It was on one of the streaming services I saw not too long ago. I think that one of my lessons of adulthood was that as a younger kid and as an adolescent, I was definitely always team Zach because he's attractive, he's kind of the bad boy, and I always had a thing for Zach. But then as I got older, I realized, oh wow, he is a manipulative, gaslighting narcissist and treats his friends like garbage, and it's kind of sad. So I became much more of a Slater person in my older years, or even really Screech. I mean, you'd really be better off with the person who's intelligent and who cares about his friends and is very friendly. So what do you guys think? I'm curious, anybody in here, will you, if you like guys, were you the Zach, Screech, or Slater person? And if you like girls, were you Kelly, Jessie, or Lisa? I'm curious to see what kind of fandom we have in here. Hi, Joshua and Tim and Charles. Amy says, I had a thing for Kelly. Me too. Hi, Tony. Lisa's trying to help out a person who was scary, like what I was like 5 years ago right now. Well, it's good though that you can come from an angle, you can come at it from an angle that you know where they're coming from, so you can truly empathize where they're coming from and maybe have an idea of what they need. But yeah, it can be really scary when you're faced with someone that's almost a reflection of a former version of yourself, because it's forcing you to face where you've come from and what you've gone through. You know, it might be a bit triggery. So make sure that you're taking care of yourself while going through that to avoid any uncomfortable triggers or things that might come up from that. Silver Cloud asked, which one did Showgirls? That was Jesse. Hi, Riley. Tony says, we laid my brother Joe to rest this past Thursday. I've been crying every day since, suppressed my emotions to be the rock for his mother. At the visitation, I noticed her in the pew at the church talking to him and crying, so I just sat with her so she could let it out. I didn't say a word. I internally talked with my granny and grandpa asking for strength. She needed that, and I hope I did her justice. I just went on autopilot. I'm sure that she was very appreciative to have someone there with her to help her go through that process. Grieving is so hard to go through in the best of circumstances, but it's always better, a little easier, 1% easier to go through it when you have someone to let you fall apart. And it's completely okay that you've been crying every day since. When my mom passed away, I cried every single day for months, and it took me years to really get back on track after that because I didn't know how to cope. I didn't have any coping skills back then, really, or at least not any strong ones. And I completely fell apart. But even now, with a strong set of coping skills, I still, if I experience a loss, will mourn it. And sometimes it takes a while to get past that. And that's okay. We all grieve on our own time and our own ways. And there's no timeline for that. If you need to cry every day, then cry every day. That's totally understandable. It's already getting so crazy. Hi, Justin. It has been a while. How are you? Justin says, I know that as I was widowed at 38. David says, mourning is a natural human process. We're emotional beings. We are. And it's very natural for us to long for something that has been such an important part of our lives for a long time, whether through death or just that person not being in our lives anymore. They move away or they just are at a different phase in their lives. It's completely natural for us to miss them, for us to mourn the loss of that. And I really think that we should hold space for that. You know, I don't think we should be trying to rush people through the grieving process as long as they're not hurting themselves, as long as they are taking care of themselves the best they can. And you know what? Right after grief, that might look completely different because you're in survival mode, right? So as long as you're not doing anything destructive, grieve as you will. Hi, Edward. Joshua says empathy is the highest form of knowledge because it forces you to step into another person's shoes. Yeah, I think understanding the difference between sympathy and empathy was really a turning point for me, because when you sympathize with someone, you pity them in a certain way and you go, oh, look, poor you. But when you empathize with them, you're aligning yourself with their emotions, with their feelings. And it's a complete game changer because it allows you to understand different people's perspectives, to experience something from a different person's point of view, or experience something maybe you haven't experienced. And I think that builds our stat points, right? Like that helps us be more resilient in the future. And that helps us be more compassionate and more understanding to people. Thank you, David. Thank you so much. Breaking the tip seal. Can we see Amanda's fangirl face? Oh my gosh. I can't even replicate it because so I will try and explain what was happening in the video for people that weren't seeing it. So I was right by the aisle where they would come up onto stage, and Chris is coming off stage, and I put my hand down for him to high five me or whatever, and he kind of grabs my hand for a second, and it's just sent this tingling up my arm. This tingling up my arm, and I was kind of in shock, and I'm just going, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, was looking at my hand, just completely freaking out, going, oh my God, his DNA is on my hand right now. And I am usually a pretty balanced person, but in that moment, I was just so excited. I was so happy. I was so in the energy of that it was a beautiful time machine back to being 13 and carefree and being able to just let go like that. Obviously, I would never do that to their faces. If we're just talking one-on-one or something, I had met Chris before and I managed to keep my cool. I've actually met all of them and I managed to keep my cool while I'm around them. Now, while I walk away, it's a whole different story, but since he was just walking through, I definitely, apparently, my brain just goes, yep, now seems like a good time to just hyperventilate. Those were the days, Silver Cloud. I agree with you. Ronald, they love your videos. They really help me. I'm glad. I'm very glad that I can help someone. Matthew says, let's not miss the pledges. Oh, I need to keep track. I'm just going to keep track here today because it's easier than trying to write it, because last time I kept trying to do that and was knocking things over. So David, 15. We do have that goal of 250 for the pledges. We're at 15. Spucky says, I was a weird kid. When I was 13, my hero was R. Lee Ermey. Edward says, we still don't talk about it out of respect of those in recovery. Oh, I think I missed something. Thank you guys for holding the fort down here. Matthew says, I'm going to start trying to protest the fact that not enough is being done to educate all about the Holocaust. I think that's a great thing to take on. It's not so much that people aren't doing enough, because we do have the Holocaust Museum and Holocaust survivors would come and speak when they could at events and at schools and stuff. And they teach it in school, but I feel like they teach a very watered down version of it. And I feel like that's not really doing anyone any good, because it's not allowing people to truly empathize with what the victims or their families went through. And I'm not saying that we need to go into detail about brutal torture and stuff, but I do think that we need to stop watering it down for school. What are your ideas? What are you thinking of doing, of spreading the word? I do think that it's a beautiful way for people to, number one, I'll start with the positive. It's a beautiful way for people to see how a group can persevere. Like the Jews have been, and I know it's not just the Jews in the Holocaust, but the Jews have been persecuted and they've been exiled over and over and over again, and they still thrive and they still persevere. And I love that. I think it's beautiful. Oh, thank you, Ryan. We are at 65. Thank you so much. But I do think that it's also an opportunity for us to look, and I don't want to downplay, so I suppose I should preface this. I don't want to downplay my feelings ever. If I'm feeling something, then it's valid. However, there are times when I feel like I just kind of get stuck on this narration of being uncomfortable, of, oh my God, it's too hot, it's too cold, this isn't stylish enough, I'm not doing this or that, or I don't have the right spice right now. And when I start going into those ruminations of first world problems, I really like to stop and think about the things that people have went through in history, the things that people have survived. So when I'm struggling, I can think, these people survived these horrific conditions. And I know I can too. There were survivors. There were people that managed to survive that. So I know that I can survive that. I know that, like Anne Frank, I can also find happiness in really dark, bleak times. So there's a lot of messages and a lot of lessons. I actually love reading Holocaust fiction or nonfiction. I just really love reading about it. And that's kind of one of my go-to pleasure reading things is World War II stuff. So I'm really excited to hear what you plan to do and how you plan to do that. Let's see. Oh, Matthew says, my whole school gave me a piece of paper portraying me as KKK because I'm white. when I argued I'm equally persecuted as a Jew, and that type of art is how the Holocaust happened, I met only blankness. Yeah, I just don't think that they understand. Hey guys, I don't want to get into a political or social argument here, so please make sure that we're just being respectful and loving to each other, understanding, trying to empathize, trying to hear other people's points of view. I just see a couple messages that are a little more confrontational than the vibe we like to keep here. So I just want to encourage you guys. I just want to remind you guys to keep it civil and stay open-minded. But we do have to respect the people that are struggling in here. No, you're fine. I wasn't talking about you, Matthew. I was not talking about you. I'm not saying that the Holocaust is controversial. It's not. I think we should be talking about it. Like I said, I think there's a lot of very positive messages that we can be taking from it, very positive thoughts, things to reflect upon. So I wasn't talking about you. I was just seeing that people were getting a bit political and social here, and that could be divisive, and I don't want us to be divisive. Actually, let's do our good news. It's been 15 minutes. I haven't done the good news yet. So let's do our good news story of the week. I always just like to share some good news from around the world because we're so inundated often with negative news and all the scary things that are happening that I like to make sure that we have some balance. So the good news today is St. Pete man starts happiness experiment after son takes his own life. They save people's lives, it says. St. Petersburg. A St. Petersburg man has posted nearly 600 happiness signs around Pinellas County in honor of his 40-year-old son who jumped off the Sunshine Skyway Bridge. Gary King's passion project is all about spreading positivity. We're in a time period where if there was ever a time for happiness, it's now, he said. King suffers from complex post-traumatic stress disorder, CPTSD. In recent years, he learned his 40-year-old son Jason also had it after Jason died by suicide when he jumped off the Sunshine Skyway Bridge on July 29th, 2012. Jason, he had a heart of gold, but he struggled and he struggled and he struggled, King said. The tragedy propelled King to launch the happiness experiment in 2019. Everybody, after they're born, that's what they're doing. They're doing the happiness experiment, he said. They're looking for something outside of themselves that will change the way they feel internally. King worked with Piranha Signs and St. Pete to come up with the first design of the sign, and you can look this up and see the sign. If you want. The second one I put up, I bolted to a city of St. Petersburg city limits sign and it went viral. I've been putting them up ever since. He said there's 592 of them in St. Petersburg and Gulfport now. And it's just a really simple sign. It's white and it says happiness in red and has a red border. So it's very simple. But on Monday, King posted his 593rd sign at Gladden Park where Jason enjoyed playing basketball when he was a child. The city planted a tree in his honor 8 days after he lost his life. He said, King will soon star in a documentary based on his mission that's produced by Gillian Ferris Films. Shooting for the documentary began last June. I had to be in a boat and I had to be filmed underneath the skyway where he hit the water. There's no way for me to explain how hard it was to do that, but I had to do it, he said. King also published his own book, The Happiness Experiment. Although he's almost 80 years old, King said he has no plans to stop hanging signs anytime soon. They go, you're climbing ladders and putting up happiness signs? I go, yeah. What happens when you can't climb a ladder anymore? Well, I'll buy a bucket truck. What do you think I'm going to do? I'm never going to stop putting up happiness signs. Never, because they save people's lives. There's so much that makes my heart just glow in this story. First of all, he's taking something traumatic and turning it into something beautiful. So he's taking his own loss and pain and trauma and turning that into something to help other people. And it helps him process that loss. It helps him go through that. So I oftentimes encourage people that when you lose somebody, find a way to share their love, share their energy, to honor them after that their loss. And it will help you get through that grief. It will help you process that grief. So that is something I do with my parents, is finding ways to honor them. And I don't have a specific project, but I know that they would both love this community and this channel. And I know that doing things that help other people would honor them. I made a anti-smoking a commercial for my dad a couple years ago on his birthday because he had emphysema and he really just wanted to educate people about smoking. And there are mental health impacts of cigarettes and vapes. So I did that. There's so many ways that we can honor our loved ones and of course still go through that mourning process. So sometimes I can be doing these things while crying. I could be crying while doing these outreach things, but it's a beautiful way to find meaning and purpose and kind of shift the energy away from pain and into healing. So I think that was really awesome. And I love that when he's saying, what happens when you can't climb a ladder anymore? Well, I'll buy a bucket truck. He's committed to this and he's saying, I'm going to do this no matter what. So even if I have to find another way, I tell people that a lot. If you can't do something, if you do something and it doesn't work, try again or try a different way or try asking for help. But there's always ways. You just have to keep trying and you have to sometimes reevaluate and see if there's something that you could do differently. Spicky says, oh, it's talking about David. David says, I've been in horrible relationships and now I've turned to alcohol. It's a very normal human reaction for us to turn to vices because we don't have other methods of coping. Oftentimes we're not taught how to cope. We're not taught how to deal with these really complicated feelings. And I've been in toxic relationships. I've been in narcissistic relationships. I've been in really unhealthy relationships, emotionally abusive relationships. And I, at the time, also turned to vices because I didn't know what else to do. And at the end of the day, all it really did was prolonged my grieving and my suffering of either being in that relationship. I would stay longer when I shouldn't have, or it would prolong my healing after getting out of one because I was numbing myself from going through that process. So while I can completely understand why those vices can seem so enticing, they are definitely false friends, and they will whisper all the pretty little things to you, and they might make you feel better for a minute or two, but they do more damage in the long run. Hi, Chris. I think we had a couple of snaps in here too. So I'll do the wins for the community here in a minute. So if you want to add your wins here, so I can see those as well. Like I said, if you want to make sure that I see it, make sure to highlight it, but we'll be doing that here in a minute. Oh, I love that Lass is saying, do you want someone to talk to? Because that's what we're here for. That makes me so happy when you guys do that, when you guys band together and just offer an ear, offer a safe place to land. Because I can only be one person, you know, and that's why I wanted to build a community, is because I can't see every comment in time. I can't respond to every message that I get sent in real time. I can't sometimes even do it within a couple of days. I only go through my comments once or twice a week here on YouTube. So I love that is coming into fruition, that we're really banding together and loving on each other. I love every example I see of that. Hi, John. But yes, we are all here. Those ads drive me nuts. When you get an article and the ads start flashing in your peripheral, it drives me crazy. David, you have us now. We'll be your friends. You can message me on Instagram at MentalAmanda. Like I said, I might not respond right away, but I do check all of my messages. So if you are wanting to touch base with me, if you're wanting to connect with me, that is another way to do so between these. Bye, Spudkey. See, David, you just made a whole bunch of new friends in here that will love on you and take care of you and check in with you. We're a pretty tight-knit community. I love it. I love what we're building, what we've created. It's warm. I'm doing pretty good, Chris. How are you? What's up, Spencer? What's going on? I will say, by the way, there's been something going on in the last couple of weeks because I feel like the energy is just off. I don't know how to explain it. I don't want to get hippie woo woo. I'm not saying it's because Mercury's in retrograde or whatever. I know we're coming up on an eclipse, and I know a lot of my more esoteric friends lean into that. And maybe that does have something to do with it. But I feel like the last couple of weeks have been so heavy, and there's been a lot of struggle and a lot of challenge. So I just want to acknowledge that and say that if you are feeling just off, you're feeling like things are more challenging, I'm right there with you. And a lot of people I know that don't even usually struggle with mental health, they're more neurotypical. Even my neurotypical friends are struggling right now. So I think there's something in the air for sure. Spencer says 13 beers the other night, and both my cars are up for repossession. I'm honestly so GD scared. I'm so embarrassed. Don't be embarrassed. You know what? Be embarrassed. I'm not going to tell you how to feel, but I've been there. I've been at a point where my things have been repossessed. I've been homeless. I have definitely fallen into, we were just talking about the vices and stuff. I've definitely fallen into vices at different points of my life. It happens. And like I said, it's largely because we don't really know how to cope. And right now, okay, you had 13 beers the other night. It is what it is. There's nothing we can do about that now. I'll admit that I had a couple drinks a few weeks ago, and I feel shame surrounding that until I realize, you know what, I'm doing the best I can, and all I can really do is take the feeling that I'm having now and let that motivate me to figure out, okay, how can I do things differently next time? So if I'm getting to that point, what are other things that I can do? So when I've come down off of that, when I've stabilized a little bit, I kind of try and think, okay, how could I have handled that differently? So if we use these even relapses as opportunities for reflection instead of opportunities to judge ourselves and be harsh, have some compassion, have some grace for yourself. You're human, you're not perfect. It's okay. And just try to think, what triggered this? What can I do differently? Those are the most important things to think. What triggered this? How could I have handled the situation differently? How can I address it right now? What can I do right now? Yeah, silver clouds are absolutely right. Perfection isn't realistic. And I have a whole list of stuck points that I had to work through. And I tell people that those things that repeat, those stuck tapes in your head, the things that will come up when your inner critic, when your shadow starts really kicking up, I made a list of those things. And I wrote down all the thoughts, and then I'd write down counter thoughts. And one of my big stuck points, and I said this before, but it was from the TV show Nip Tuck, where one of the characters said, as soon as you stop striving for perfection, you might as well be dead. That got stuck in my head when I was in my teens, and I think it was my late teens, maybe early 20s. I don't remember where it fell in the timeline, but it was stuck in my head for years and years and years, and I still struggle with it because I had convinced myself that, well, you have to be perfect. You have to get to a point where you're perfect. But there's no such thing as perfect. It's a hedonic treadmill because the goalpost is just going to keep moving anyway. So there really is no such thing as perfect. So the only thing that we can do is be better than ourselves yesterday. That's really all we should expect of ourselves. We're here, Spencer, to listen, and we care if your light goes out. And I know what it's like to feel like you don't want to be here anymore. I get it. I so get it. But there is another side to that darkness. I promise there's another side to it. And you can get through this dark night with us, and we will bring you buckets of water into your hell and put out the flames until you're ready to move through it, until you can move out of that. Yes, Eugene says, learn to find perfection in your imperfection and embrace it. Absolutely. That's what I was saying, David. David's saying, I don't strive for perfection. I strive for growth and expansion. That's exactly what I was getting at, is you should be striving to be just a little bit better than yesterday, not striving to be perfect, because perfect isn't real. It's unattainable. Even the most well-programmed computers or AI or whatever, there's still flaws in the system. Spencer said, I'll message you later. I will be waiting. Alrighty, let's do our wins. Let's shift a little bit and do some wins. Spencer, I want to really encourage you, and anyone else who's struggling. I don't know whose wins are in here because I don't read them in advance. But I want to really encourage you guys to try and think of just one tiny win in the struggle, in the challenge, in the darkness. Just think of one thing that has made you feel 0.00001% better, or something that you've done for your mental health while going through this challenge. So I will try to catch them here. I almost pulled a snap without singing the Snap Cup song. I think Edward would have been so disappointed. So this is just a way that we share our wins with the community. It's inspired by Legally Blonde too, where people can post their wins in the community page, and then I will read them here on stream so we can just share the warmth and love of the community, and so that we can see that even in the darkest of times, you can still find a little bit of healing, a little bit of happiness. So thank you, Erin. Snap cup time, gather ye round, friends and foes together, united and bound. Pass it to your neighbor instead of blowing up, and you'll find harmony and love in a snap cup. Thought I was gonna lose my voice again. After the concert, I woke up the next morning and I sounded like a 60-year-old smoker. One of my friends called me and I literally couldn't talk. I was just, hello, I sounded like a 60-year-old smoker. It was funny. Okay, let's see. Oh, this one got cut off. I'm gonna have to, it got cut off, so I think I accidentally cut it in the wrong place. I will get back to it, I promise. So, Warrior Poet says, finally put new lyrics on the page and worked up the courage to share them on the Discord, actually. I'll have to check it out. I'm typically pretty private about that, especially for this last one that I wrote, but I thought that it would somehow fit. I have this love-hate relationship with writing. I love that I feel better after writing, but I'm usually happy with how they come out. I hate that I'm such a perfectionist and it takes so long in between entries, but I refuse to force creativity. I hope everyone's doing okay. I love that because it's so frequently that we think we have to produce something, we have to do something. If I'm not feeling it for a week, I'm not going to make a video. If I don't feel like writing, I'm not going to write, because I feel like it's less authentic when we try and force ourselves. Now, we can try and motivate ourselves, but if it's not there, it's just not there. And allowing ourselves to just sit with that and allowing it to come organically, I think, is a really good skill. So big snaps to you. Not Nathan says, I'm spending the weekend with my mate so I don't feel so isolated. Big snaps for getting out and connecting with someone. It's very important when we do start to get in that feeling of isolation, when we feel lonely, just connecting with someone. It can be online. It can be just going out with a friend and having a tea or a coffee or whatever. Just making sure that we know when to take a step back and be with ourselves, and when we're pushing away because we're afraid. Are we trying to, this is the way I look at it, is when you're alone, are you trying to love on yourself or are you afraid? So you should always lean into love, not fear. Charles Berger says, after being depressed most of the day, I made dinner for my family. Cooking really cheers me up. Plus, I went to the gym. Those are huge wins. Eating cheers me up. Does that count? But cooking can be very therapeutic, and just having some nutrients, some good nutrients, being able to go to the gym, boost those endorphins, because, oh, you can't see my sign over there. Happy people just don't shoot their husbands. The exercise releases endorphins. Endorphins make you happy, and happy people just don't shoot their husbands. I am a big proponent of staying active, and it doesn't necessarily have to mean going to the gym, but even just going for a walk or doing some stretching. Or today I was cleaning the hell out of my house, like cleaning and purging and organizing and stuff, that can also be a bit of a workout because it gets your blood moving and gets you moving. So anything that you can do to get moving is always helpful. And I'm very proud of you, Charles, that you made an effort. Hopefully you did feel better, but at least made the effort to move out of that energy. David, thank you so much. David says, Wynn was watching Murder, She Wrote with a friend. I wonder who that friend could be. They're probably a really lucky duck. So big snaps to you, Charles. Yeah, I think one of these longer ones got cut off somehow. Like I said, I don't read the things, so sometimes they can get cut off. Okay, so I think this is actually the one. Okay, hopefully I'm not messing this up. Okay. Vargas YouTube says, this week has been very strange. It's had good moments, but one of the worst things possible happened. I'll start with the bad news first. Thursday morning, my next door neighbor took their own life. I'm so sorry. He had just been in my living room less than 48 hours before it happened. It felt like I'd turned to stone after I'd heard what happened. I had no idea he was even upset. I didn't really know him that well, but it still breaks my heart into 1,000 pieces to know that he can no longer breathe, feel, think, be, and all those other amazing privileges about life we take for granted. I've barely been able to focus. This has been really eye-opening to me in the way that I want to make sure that everyone in my life knows that I love them. That's such a beautiful thing to come from such a tragedy, because this is just incomprehensible to me, and I couldn't imagine it happening to anyone else. I can't let it happen to anyone else. In lighter news, I'm now financially stable, so I'm a lot less stressed about just living. I was elected fundraising chair for my college's branch of Student Pennsylvania State Education Association, so that's good. I also found out that I'll be seeing the girl I'm crushing on more this summer, ooh la la, because we'll both be doing the same community theater show. Those few smaller wins have really helped me deal and handle the absolute tragedy that took place Thursday morning. Big snaps to you. And I want this to be a reminder to people that something, I don't know, I can't snap today, that something horrible can happen, something traumatic, something tragic, something that rips your whole entire world apart, be it loss or whatever the case is. Terrible things can happen, but if we're putting deposits in our happiness bank, if we're making deposits, at least helps balance it. It's okay to grieve. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to be sad, but we have to find some kind of balance so we don't spiral. So making sure that we're taking care of ourselves, or just keeping ourselves at least a little bit, I don't want to say stable, because I wasn't stable when I go into a grief spiral, but just keeping yourself kind of at stasis at very least, where you might not be able to do a lot of things, but just keep yourself as neutral as possible. Not neutral in the sense of, I'm sorry that I'm not expressing this in the way that I want. Not neutral in the sense of not feeling, but at least not spiraling into a destructive pattern, destructive pattern. I'm repeating myself. I feel like now I'm just I'm just rambling. Hello, T and Glenn. I'm good. How are you? Let's see. Andrew says, I'm working on breaking the cycle of feeling nothing, wanting to move forward, but everything has no motivation behind it. But I've come to realize that I can choose to not care about not caring. I love that. At least if I turn up and get involved, I have the chance to feel something positive or negative. At least I won't be beating myself up for not even trying. That is such a beautiful perspective. Snaps to you. And I'm really glad you shared that with us, because sometimes I feel kind of apathetic and I get very hard on myself because I start thinking, well, why don't you care? Why aren't you doing better? Why can't you do this? Why can't you do that? Instead of saying, you know what, right now, I just don't care. And I'm going to take the best care of myself that I can. But I also like the turn up and get involved. I have the chance to feel something positive or negative. Yes, you're putting yourself in a position where you can feel something negative, but you could feel something positive. And Aaron actually reminds me of this all the time, because I say this to people, and Aaron reminds me of this when I get in these spirals, when I say, well, what if this happens and what if everything goes wrong? But darling, what if you fly? What if everything goes right? What if something small goes right? Staying in that comfort zone will never lead to growth. Staying in something that isn't working or that is making you unhappy is never going to lead to growth. Sure, something worse could happen, but then you can choose something else after that. You can continue making different choices. It's not like you're totally stuck in most situations. So I love that. Thank you for that reminder. Donut Predator says, last night I had hit rock bottom. I couldn't take it anymore. I was ready to die. I'd written a note and left it on the kitchen table and went to my room and had a gun to my head. And just as I was about to pull the trigger, my sister called with the news. My other sister had her kid. Fast forward to today, I'm thankful she called before I did that. I'm thankful she called too, and I'm so happy that you're still here. And please know that if you get to that point again, we are here if you need to message me, like I said, on Instagram, or you can join our Discord and connect there with people. I just want every person here to know that if you're feeling that low, if you're feeling like you're in that place and you just can't take it anymore, there are people that have been there. There are people here in this community that have been there, myself included. I can't tell you how many times I've just gone, oh my God, I can't do this anymore. Sometimes those ended up in suicide attempts. Sometimes they didn't. I've written the note many times, and I'm really happy that your sister called. And this is also a reminder for us to call and check in with people if we haven't heard from them, or if we're just worried about them, or we just want to say hi. Call and check in with people, because you never know what that call could do, just letting them know that someone cares. So I'm so, so happy that you're still here, because we do care if your light goes out. Tony, are you still in here, Tony? After talking with Amanda on Friday, I reached out to Corey Schaefer, who runs the Tilvahala project that I've been mentioning, and we have worked it out, and I'm going to do some scripture assistance in addition to the counseling services that we have set up for vets. So I think the scripture will certainly help add a layer to that. And he and I discussed it, and we're starting it next week, so pretty excited about that. After laying my brother to rest on Thursday, which has been very emotional and difficult for me, I'm still working through it. This is definitely something that good that has come out of it. And I thank Amanda for giving me that thought process and trying to find a way to incorporate and honor them in my daily routine. I ask that you all keep his family in your thoughts and prayers as they navigate this difficult time. I'm absolutely sending healing energy to you and to his friends and family. Big snaps to you for finding a way to honor him and connect with him. And I think that that would be so very special. I know that that would be very special to me. I think that would be very special to his family, to that memory. And I think that it will help a lot of people. So I'm very proud of you for taking that on, for finding something that will help you process your feelings, help you honor him, and help a lot of other people heal. So you're sharing that love and healing with the world. And I'm very proud of you for that. So amazing, Tony. I'm writing it down, Erin. I'm writing down the goal tracker today. So right now we are at 80. We're at 80 out of our 250 goal. Woods Gump says, I went outside the house like 4 times this week, weightlifted twice, and walked around listening to my favorite Offspring music. Oh my gosh, now Offspring's gonna be in my head. Big snaps to you for getting out, weightlifting, walking, listening to your favorite music, all very healing, positive things, all big wins. I'm very happy for you. I'm very proud of you for doing that, for engaging in those things. Spencer says, my win is I went 2 weeks before my last time I had anything Friday night. See, that's a big win. I'm proud of you. Good job. 23 Marion says, I have an extreme social anxiety and also depression. And these days I started to leave my house to go out to different places by myself. I have an amazing therapist who encourages me to do things that make me uncomfortable. Good therapist. I'm doing so much better. I don't drink coffee and energy drinks anymore. That can make such a huge difference when it comes to anxiety. And I understand, especially a lot of people who struggle with ADHD, caffeine can help them. But if you're drinking too much, or you're drinking high sugar drinks and stuff, a lot of energy drinks have a bunch of sugar in them, that can actually make your anxiety worse, which can exacerbate some of those symptoms. So I am very proud of you for giving that up. And I love that you are getting outside of your comfort zone. You're working on exposure therapy. I actually made an exposure therapy vlog a couple of years ago. David, can you drop that here in the chat. I made an exposure therapy vlog a couple weeks ago to deal with some of mine, and I actually think that I'm going to dive back into that here in the next couple of weeks because I've been finding myself getting stuck with a lot of things. And I was seeing a therapist and doing EMDR, and I just don't think that that's the path that's going to work for me right now. I do think that I got some benefit from it, but I don't think that I can complete what I was trying to do right now for very specific reasons. I just think that I'm going to come back to that later. So I think I'm going to go back to the exposure therapy and stuff for now, but I think that that's amazing. I'm very proud of you. I know that it can be very scary, very uncomfortable, but what doesn't challenge us doesn't change us. So sometimes we have to do things that we don't want to do, that our shadow is saying, no, that's scary, that's bad, that's going to hurt you, that's going to make it worse, but it can very, very much help heal. David says, I'm loving the little shorts Mental Amanda's been doing. I've been posting more content over on Instagram with shorts, and I guess it's reels over there. Sorry, I messed up the lingo and things like that. So if you are looking for more content, make sure to go follow me on @MentalAmanda, where I post more shorts and stuff like that. Thank you, David, for posting that link. John Seawin says, I've been taking my meds consistently and I'm finally on an antidepressant that actually seems to be working. I'm not sitting on my couch all day in utter despair. Also, I've kept all my medical appointments. That is so huge, to find something that works and to keep medical appointments. I know that I have actually posted about this on Instagram the other day, that there were times where I would cancel counseling appointments, therapy appointments, because I would get overwhelmed by the thought of talking about my overwhelm. So I would get anxiety about the thought of talking about my anxiety symptoms. So I know that that is really big. I'm very proud of you, and I'm happy that you have found something that works. I know that antidepressants can be very helpful to a lot of people, and I'm glad that you found one that's helpful for you and that works for you. So big snaps to you. They never worked for me either. Silver Cloud antidepressants actually had a kind of reverse effect where they would make me more suicidal, and I was guinea pigged on dozens of them over the years. I wound up on a lot of different antidepressants. They tried me on the child's doses, and it just really didn't work for me. But that's okay. I can see that it works for other people, and I can see that that's a completely valid thing to have in your toolbox. But yeah, it didn't work for me either. So there's different strokes for different folks, right? Different things work for different people. We're not all the same. Chris JB says, I finished gathering up my information for my next video here on YouTube, which will be about borderline personality disorder. Also, I've gotten a couple books about mental health and treatment of mental health so I can give better information in my videos. One book is the DSM-5 and the other is about treatments used for mental health. The DSM-5 is amazing. So for those of you that don't know, the DSM-5 is the manual for what we use to diagnose different mental health disorders. So it's basically what criteria you have to meet to be diagnosed with a certain disorder. So very informative. I would also encourage you to listen to different people's experiences as well, because I will say that the clinical stuff can only get you so far, right? It's very helpful to get a baseline, but listen to other people's experiences that have these varying disorders so that you can get kind of real feedback and information on how it shows up in the real world. But big snaps to you for gathering information, for expanding yourself and becoming wiser and growing and learning and using that to help other people. Big snaps to you for that. Bye, Spencer. Have a good night. Have a good week. Meadow Clown says, I spent the day with my fiance just hanging out and doing fun things. Nothing better than spending time with the people we love and just having fun, kicking back. So big snaps to you. I'm sorry that my snaps, I think it's just because I was cleaning and stuff so much today that I feel like I have no traction on my fingers, so my snaps aren't working very well. Or maybe it's because Chris touched this hand and now the awesomeness is just radiating so much out of it that it's not going to have any traction. Alrighty. Matthew Azaria says, I'm fine. I got out of the clinic where I was, preemptive action against a relapse on heroin. This post came 30 minutes after getting home. Sorry it took so long to get around it. No apologies necessary. I'm very proud of you that you went and did that. You took care of yourself. You took the preemptive action. I'm very, very proud of you for that. And I hope that you have continued to find strength and to find things to keep you in recovery, to keep you safe. So I'm very proud of you for taking that action. Who says I wash that hand, David? It's very presumptuous of you. Evolution MMA says, finally let go of things after 43 years. Love it. It's never too late to let go. It's never too late to change. It's never too late to have that metamorphosis. It's never too late to correct a mistake. So I love that you're reminding us of that sometimes it takes us a long time to change, to grow, to learn a lesson, but it's never too late to learn that lesson. Something smells very, very good right now in my house, and it's making me even more hungry than I already was. I'm gonna take a sip of water here. Edward says, moving your body coupled with good sleep is a great energy drink. I'm good at the first, but kind of suck at the second. Still working on that one. I've been working on it too, and I have been making improvements with my sleep in the past couple weeks. So that's been really great. That's how I had so much energy today to get so much accomplished and go through and clean and purge and organize and stuff. And my mind just felt clearer. I will add to that also, along with moving your body, good sleep, nutrition, make sure you're getting the nutrients your body and brain need to function at full capacity. Water is an amazing energy drink because most people will turn to coffee first thing in the morning because they're dehydrated because you don't have water all night, and you're dehydrated. A lot of people just don't even drink any water at all, and you're tired. And if you get up and you drink a cup of water, just a glass of water, you'll actually feel an energy boost. I've tested this so many times. Even when I don't sleep well, it still gives me energy. So water can actually be more of an energy drink than the cliche energy drinks like Monster and Red Bull and stuff. Making sure you're hydrated really makes a big difference with energy and with your mental health. Lamb chops? What? Oh, now we're going to have this is the song that doesn't end. That's going to be in my head for days now. Thanks for that. Glad to give you the tip, Tony. Oh, Matthew says, I'm so scared now. I'm considering calling my family and telling them that this is it. One who raped me is trying to break down my door. Please go to a safe place. Please go lock yourself in a closet if you have to. Get off here. Call the police. Stay safe, please. If you call your family for help, but call 911 first, please, or wherever you're at. Call emergency services so that you can be safe. Grab something to defend yourself with just in case they do get in the house, but get something to defend yourself with. Go lock yourself in a room. Call emergency services. And please let us know that you're okay. Please keep in touch with us. Yes, 911 now, absolutely. I will argue that last because coconut water comes in a can, and if it's just pure coconut water without sugar and stuff added, coconut water is good for you. But yes, mostly. Okay. Matthew says, in the closet, please no. Sending immediate assistance. Got my gun. Okay, good. Stay safe. We're here. The cops are on their way. No, Edward, not lamb chops, because I do not eat meat. And I don't like thinking about it, because then it makes me sad. Is that water or age, David says. I love it. Edward says, my water consumption, 160 ounces a day is why I sleep bad, wake up to use the bathroom too much. I had that problem. I have to cut off water a little bit later in the day, a little bit earlier than most people. I'll have water after dinner and stuff, but I can't drink water in the few hours before bed because it will make me have to get up and pee a lot. So um, I definitely cut my water off earlier, and then I'll drink water first thing in the morning. But I think that I think that if you drink too much, it can start to kind of backfire on you. I don't try to do the 8 ounce glasses of water a day, or eight fluid ounces, isn't it? So you're supposed to have half your body weight. It changes all the time. I actually, maybe this is controversial, I don't know, but I just kind of go off whether or not my pee is really yellow. If my pee is clear, then I'm hydrated and I'm happy, and I'm not going to go drink to the point where I'm just peeing all the time. And yeah, too much water actually can throw the salt balance off. Absolutely true. Mike says, "It's the little things in life. Your shirt makes me smile. That show was a big part of my teenage years. Great memories. Thanks for what you do." I was saying I grew up loving this, and I grew up loving Zach, and then realized when I got older, you know what? Maybe this is part of why I wound up in toxic relationships, because all of the men that were presented as desirable in our media growing up were all super toxic, and we were always pushed toward liking the bad boy. And the fact that I chose Zach over Slater, or with Boy Meets World, Sean over Corey, is probably why I had so many relationship problems for so many years of my life. Uh, oh yeah, mostly my water is consumed just before, during, and after my daily workout. Make sure you're getting a little bit more throughout the day, but it says, I always tell my princesses to drink as much water as you can because it'll get you to last longer in bed. What? I feel like that would be really uncomfortable, actually. Mm. Yeah, I love that you guys are sharing that with each other, sharing scriptures and stuff with each other. If that's what brings you comfort and makes you happy, then you do you. Edward says, you were hot for Mr. Building. Yep, totally my type. Totally, totally, totally my type. Fun fact is, I have no idea why he was there, but when I went to the star ceremony to see NSYNC get their star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, Dennis Hastings, the guy that plays Mr. Building, was there. So I got to see him. I didn't meet him, but I saw him, and I just thought, what on earth? Why? I don't know the connection. I don't know who he's connected to, or what that is all about, but he was there, and I thought it was kind of cool. I also met Slater. I met Mario Lopez a few years ago. Unfortunately, I never met Screech, and he passed away. But I would like to meet Zach. He's actually, I've heard, really, really nice in real life. And there's a Christmas movie that I watch every year that has Mark Paul Gosselaar in it, the actor that plays Zach. So I kind of have that nice little nod once a year. Mm. Alrighty, so we have 5 more minutes to wind down. Let's see, like I said, 50, 60, 70. So we're at 80 of our 250 goal with 5 minutes left in the game. I might stay a couple more minutes, but I am hungry and I can smell the food, the not lamb chop food. And just want to give everybody a chance to get their wins in, or say hello, ask any last questions if they need to. Eugene says, Elizabeth Berkley was my girl back then. She was really pretty. Hi, Danny. What? William says, I thought that was barbed wire on your left wrist. I was going to say, damn, it's going to hurt. Nope, that's not my jive. That's okay, Danny. I'm late a lot of the times. Edward asked what my win is. Honestly, just being able to let go of so much today, being able to get so much done. I feel so much better that I've just made a big, huge box of things to let go of, and my space feels cleaner and fresher. I just opened the windows and allowed a bunch of fresh air to come in. So everything just feels fresher. It feels like I'm letting go of all this baggage, which just makes me physically feel lighter. Even I do this I'd say every couple months, I'll go through and just purge things, not people. Uh, Sometimes I do let go of people too, but I'm just saying I'm not out there purging as in the movie franchise. But just being able to go through and let those things go and understand that it's kind of part of my story of my journey, because when my parents passed away, I clung on to every scrap of paper, every single thing I could get my hands on. And here, so many years later, it's just, okay, I'm ready to let that go now. Okay, I'm ready to let that go now. And it actually makes the things that I have, like my parents' wedding bands, it makes the things that I keep all that much more special. So I think in some ways letting go actually makes you value the things that you keep even more. And I just love getting into that groove. But let's be real. My real win was being able to shake Chris Kirkpatrick's hand again. And the fact that BB Mac all addressed me by name, because I interviewed Christian here on the channel about his mental health, because when he was the height of his fame, when BB Mac was really a popular boy band, a popular pop group in the in the late 90s, early 2000s. He went through a stint of pretty severe depression, talked about it here on the channel, and he remembered me. I freaked out. As he was walking away from the stage, he turned around and he saw me because I was right there, and he looked at me and waved and said hi and acknowledged me. And I'm just, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. So it's just a fun moment that we had such a meaningful conversation that he remembered me. And then I guess he'd talked to his bandmates about me. So when I did the meet and greet, they all said, "Oh, hey, Amanda," and addressed me by name. I was cool until I started to walk away and realized I've been holding my breath the whole time. I was very dizzy and had to find a wall and kind of stabilize myself. But it was just so much fun getting to go back to that energy, that time, those memories. So it was a beautiful way to connect to my mom. It was a beautiful moment of just saying, hey, that conversation was really meaningful to him too. Yes, I do remember Hey Dude. It was never really my jive, but I do remember it. The plot thickens. Alrighty, guys. I gotta get off here. But I love you guys so much. Thank you for sharing your wins, your struggles. Thank you for being here in the community so that we can grow, so we can help each other and love each other and heal together and go through hell together, you know, and the ones of us that are out of hell, we can take in the buckets back to the ones that are still there. But sometimes we might wind up back there, and we just kind of have to, I always say the people that are struggling, we have to sometimes be the ones that help them, and then when they build back up, they're the ones that help us. And it's just a dance, you know, of compassion and empathy and love, that sometimes I'll be having a bad day and come on here and you guys will build me up, and sometimes I'll be having a great day and I can help build you guys up. So I'm glad that we have that dynamic. I love you guys so much, and I will see you soon. Mwah.